Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello. Hey, everyone. Yeah. So let me see. Everyone. Hey, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. This is your girl, Terrell Ravenel. I'm trying something a little different this evening. This is more of a podcast feel. And I wanted to see how this would work for this evening. So, hey, everyone, come on in, please. Come on in. Thank you so much for being a part of this amazing session tonight. This is Friday Night Live. Every Friday at 8 p.m., we're on live and popping, having real life conversations that affect our marriages, conversations that affect our life, conversations that affect the world. And as you guys know, we're currently in the midst of this world crisis that we all are experiencing, and we all are being affected by it differently. So I thought that it was necessary for us to talk just a little bit tonight about Black mothers and talk a little bit about Black mothers raising Black sons, what that looks like. And I want to hear from you guys, some of your fears, some of your worries, some of your concerns. And I'll just share a little bit of my story, which many of you already know the story. So come on in. Thank you all to my replay viewers. I appreciate you for coming on, for being a part of this Friday Night Live session on tonight. I appreciate you for sharing this with someone. This is on my public page, Terrell Ravenel, and also in the group. So if you don't mind, if you swing over to the public page, you can definitely share outside of the group. And if you share from the group, you would have to actually take the link and then share it. So I want to talk a little bit about married and mothering while Black. So you guys go ahead and just pop in the comments. I see you, April. Hey, Kay Elizabeth. Pop in the comments. What are some of your fears as a Black mom? What are some of your fears as a Black wife? What are some of your fears about being Black? And let's have that conversation tonight. And before I even talk about that, I just really want to check in with you to see how you are. How are you doing in the midst of this worldwide pandemic? How are you doing in the midst of this worldwide crisis and this worldwide trauma? We're in a place of trauma, if you haven't realized it. I know trauma hits everyone different. It speaks to everyone different. It affects everyone different. But to be honest with you, we are in a worldwide trauma. We are traumatic right now because of the issues that have been going on for the last few months. And it's like insult to injury. It's one thing on top of the other. So checking in with you, let me know, how are you? And then we'll get into the segment a little bit about how you feel and what are your fears and worries and concerns about being Black. We're going to wrap up right at 8:30. So we got about 26 minutes. And I really want this to be a dialogue. So I want you to talk back with me. How are you doing? Are you experiencing fear? How are you doing? Just go ahead and share that with me. Hurt. Yes. Yes. Anybody else? Anybody else? And here's the thing, as I wait for you guys to chime in, you can feel whatever you need to feel. Everyone is affected differently, but I guarantee you that everyone is affected. Even those that don't support the Black community are affected, not necessarily by us or by the deaf or by different things, but they are affected in a different way. So even if you don't know how you should feel right now, I want to assure you that your feelings are valid. And I want to encourage you to feel, to embrace that pain, to embrace that hurt, and to figure out, okay, this is here because yes, we've been oppressed for 400 years as a people. Yes, we've started off, way behind our white counterparts. Yes, we're constantly, so this is beyond police brutality. This is just a racism overall, systematic racism that we are part of as a Black community. So we have some feelings, and it's okay for us to talk about those. So you guys chime in, let me know. What are you feeling? What are you feeling? April, what are you feeling? Tiffany, what are you feeling? Chime in and let me know, what are you feeling? Let's walk through this and let's together begin to find some real life solutions of what we can do as Black women, as Black mothers, as Black wives, as Black leaders, to turn this thing around. What are you feeling? So many of you know that uh, last weekend, my son was peacefully protesting in downtown Charleston, South Carolina, at Marion Square, which is a popular park in the Charleston downtown area. And as he was doing that, well, let's back up. Before that, the night before, he just was sobbing. He was looking at all of the injustice in the world and so many things that was happening, which the recent event was George Floyd. And he just began to become very sorrowful and very compassionate when it came to the amount of deaths and how we have been oppressed and how have been treated as a Black community for so long. So he was sobbing to the point that his wife thought something happened. She thought that someone died or something really serious happened, right? So as he was expressing to her that I know what I need to do, I have to do something and I know what I need to do, he proceeded to make plans to go out the next day to help clean up the streets of the riots and looting that had gone on the night before. And while he was out there, he then proceeded to take a knee on Marion Square. Now, he stated that God spoke to him and God told him this is what he needed to do because this would bring about some type of change, some type of impact all over the world. So he did that without questioning God. His wife was, a little hesitant and operating in fear because, hey, let's just be honest. Here it was rioting and looting the night before. Here it was George Floyd got murdered the week before. Here it was Ahmaud Arbery got murdered a month or so ago. So much stuff has been happening. So she was fearful and really did not want him to go out. But he said, I know what I need to do. And that he did. Not even knowing like this would have been the result, not knowing the result would be in prison, not knowing the result would be, now in a place where everybody around the world is hearing his story. And although, yeah, you can say, oh, that's great. However, the process that he went through. So I'm just going to share with you a little bit about, even raising a Black son and raising a Black son in what really today would be considered the hood. I didn't know I lived in the hood until I was out of the hood. So, I mean, we always paid mortgage and my parents paid all of their bills and they were middle class, considered middle class family based on their income level. But my two major concerns, and anybody can attest to this, let me know. But my two major concerns as a mother raising a Black son growing up was that he does not go to prison and that he does not die prematurely. Those were my two major fears as a mother, not go to prison and not die prematurely. So that's what I focused on. And the way I focused on that, and if you can attest to this, please speak back with me, speak back to me tonight. I made sure he went to the best schools. I made sure that he was around the right company, the right people. I made sure to love on him. I made sure to protect him. I made sure to just have him in a place where our spiritual beliefs were evident in our life and things of that nature. By going to church often and by praying and things of that nature, he would see me pray and have a relationship with God. So I thought by doing those things, it was a level of protection that I was providing for him. And then when it got to a point where it was time for us to relocate and go to another area, we did that. We did that a few times. We lived in Atlanta, Georgia, with Decatur, Georgia. We lived in San Diego, California, Santee, California, El Cajon, California. There's three cities right next to each other in California area, San Diego, California area. We lived in Raleigh, Durham, North Carolina. And then we eventually came back to Charleston. And in coming back to Charleston, it was a cultural struck for him because he had already traveled the world and he had seen the world from a different place. He had seen the world in a different form. He met all sorts of people from all walks of life. And he had these encounters with individuals. That's when he had also his encounter. Well, he had an encounter with God here when we went to our local church. But when he went there, he was really on a mission for Christ and doing missionary work and ministering with other disciples and things of that nature. So he really had a turnaround. And when we had to come back here, when we made the choice to come back here, it was different. Things were different. People were different. Nonetheless, it was a choice that we made. So even though my son is 23 years old, there's still a level of fear that I have as it relates to his life, as it relates to him being protected, as it relates to making sure he does not die prematurely and he is not in prison. Now, what I will tell you is that there were words spoken over his life when he was a little boy. And I, as a parent, held on to the promise. So even when I wasn't sure, even when I didn't know exactly what to do, even when I didn't have all of the resources, even when, the different fears came about, I held on to a word that someone spoke into his life over a decade ago. He was between 5 and 7. I want to say between 5 and 7. I believe the age was between 5 and 7 years old. Let's see, that was in 2000. This is 2020. Yes, he was a small boy. So I held on to that word. And what I can tell you is that I started praying for him 23 years ago. I started speaking over his life. I started declaring and decreeing over his life. And I'm going to tell you this, even though I did all of that, even though I grounded him spiritually, prayed over him, prayed for him, declared over his life, and I had that word, there was still a level of fear, not overriding me, not overwhelming me, not overtaking me. But it was just that thing to say, anything can happen. Anything can happen, right? I remember the first time I realized he got stopped by the police. I was scared out of my mind because I was like, these people are crazy. They're constantly killing. They're constantly operating in police brutality. They're constantly being corrupted cops out here. And if he gets stopped by the police by something that's senseless, my child has no filter. He's going to speak his mind. He's not rude he won't be rude or disrespectful toward authority figures, or at least I hope he would not. But he's definitely going to speak his mind. He's definitely going to ask the questions, right? So you guys share with me, because I'm doing all the talking, but you share with me and let me know what are some of the things that has had you staying up at night regarding your Black sons or your Black daughters or your Black nieces, nephews, cousins, neighbors. Have you guys had any level of concern in that regard? Talk back to me. I know Kay says she felt hurt, and we have to tell our truth. So how are you talking to your children? How are you and your spouse having these conversations? Have you had these conversations? There's so much going on so quickly. My husband and I said we came back to Charleston for this because we're here now in Charleston, South Carolina. And we came here for, to celebrate my mother's birthday and some things he had to do with work. And it's like we came here and we just came into a war or a movie. I don't know. I don't even know how to express it. But we came here and it was like, oof. And we're like, what is going on? And why is this going on? Why are we dealing with this? Right? So real. It's like, what in the world? In the midst, it wasn't enough that we are in a pandemic. You guys still do know that coronavirus is still alive and well. That we haven't even gotten out of that yet. And now we're here dealing with this. This is a lot. This is a lot for anybody. So I want to just have this moment for this month. We're going to talk about what it is. And if anybody's interested in being on the show, let me know. We're here every Friday. So if anybody wants to come on, a mother, I would love a mother who has a Black son to join me, and we can talk about that. We can talk about some of the healing process and talk about how we can cope. I want to hear about even your employment. Is your boss having these conversations? Or if you're a supervisor, are you having this conversation with your employees? What are we doing? What are we doing to change the narrative? And I can't do that by myself. I can't change the narrative by myself. I can make suggestions. I can provide insight and foresight. I can say what I think needs to happen, but I need you all to join me in the effort as a Black mother, as a Black wife, as a Black mom, right? Black mother, Black wife, same thing. So I need you all to join in the efforts. How can we as Black moms prepare our Black sons to face and fight injustice in a world that hates us? We're in a world that hates us. We're in a world that calls us niggers and calls us animals and tells us that we are no good. We're in a world that we got to work twice as harder. We have to prove ourselves. We have to look a certain way. We have to drive a certain car. This is to be accepted. These are things that we have to do. So how do we teach our children when we're constantly hurting and we're constantly worried and we're constantly fearful? How do we teach our Black sons? How do we prepare them for this? To say the world hates you, but say yes, ma'am, and no, ma'am. The world hates you, but as long as you go to college and get a good job, you'll be okay. That's a lie, because many of them have gone to college. Many of them have gotten good jobs, right? Can't help but to wonder if they are going to be okay. I pray, I believe, I have strong faith, and there is always a hint of worry. Absolutely, because that's the humane side of us. And I believe sometimes we forget that there is a humane side of us. We forget that there is a side of us that is still in touch with the world, if you would, and that's our natural ability, our nature, the nature part of us. We have a spiritual side, but we also have a natural side. And as much as you pray, as much as you fast, as much as you go to church and read your word, there's still like oh my God, what if something happens? When I got the call this past Sunday, when my daughter-in-law had called me and she had told me what had happened, I braced myself but the only reason, listen to this, you guys, the only reason I was able to brace myself is because God had already protected me. God had already protected me. He already shared with me that something, I didn't know what, but something was going to happen, right? And when he shared with me something was going to happen, and it was almost like a surreal. So it's not like he told me, but it's like I knew. Have you guys ever experienced that? Like you just know something is happening, and it's not necessarily something bad is happening, but you just know something is happening. So I just knew something was going on. So not only did he give me I had an overwhelming amount of peace, but it was like a settling in my spirit. There was a settling in my spirit. And as I begin to get up that morning, he already had told me to fast and go about my day. It just was a settling, but I can't tell exactly what had happened. So when I got the call, I was prepared for whatever, and I was settled. So Kay says they need to know their rights. Yep. They have to know what to say and how to say it. It's sad when they can't embrace their culture of how they wear their clothes or wear their hair, and even the cleanness of cuts get bothered. Absolutely. My son, he looks like a Chinese. He looks Asian. The darker version, right? Asian. Chinky eyes, light skin, very light complexion, nice hair. But he even says when he walks in his neighborhood around, his predominantly white neighborhood, that he's looked at a certain way, that they're looking at him. So why do we even have to have these conversations with them? I found myself just, in a place of overwhelming emotion because we live here. I've gone to school, very educated, still in school. And it's not because of anything to do with the racism or trying to be better than whites, but it's because I want to obtain a higher level of education. And because of what God has called me to do, this is necessary. But it's still not enough. Me being a doctor is still not enough, right? And not necessarily enough for anybody, but it's still not enough. So how do we as Black moms prepare them for that day, prepare them for that week when they go out to college, when they go out to the store, when they go out to the shopping mall? Do we have to constantly put restrictions on them? Do we have to constantly do that? Constantly put restriction on them. So Casey, my oldest son, was clean as he could be, and the police stopped him after he parked the car, brand new car at that. He got out of the car and was about to walk in the barbershop, and they hustled him to the ground. No blue lights or anything were used. I believe they harassed him because he was a Black boy in a brand new car. Right. Like, even now, I'm emotional because it doesn't matter what they do. You can say, oh, they wear their pants down. But just to be honest with you, there are other races that wear their pants down. Let's just be clear. Right? Let's just be clear, y'all. There are other races that sag their pants. There are other races that wear do-rags, hats on their head. There are other races that wear tank tops, wife beaters, or whatever. But why is it just our race that's being picked on? Why is it just our boys that are being looked at a certain way? Yeah, we get it. Some of them may be filled with hostility and may be filled with a level of anger and aggression because of lack of fathers, lack of, guidance and all of that. We get all of that. We get that, right? But why is it other people don't get it? And if that's a big problem, what can we do? How can we partner with others to get them the support, the mentorship, the guidance that they need? How can we do that? What do we need to do? I need you guys to talk back to me. This is just not me talking. I want this to be a dialogue. We have 8 more minutes, and I really want this to be a dialogue. So if you have a Black son, I need you to put 1. If you have a Black son, put a 1. And before we get off here tonight, I'm going to read a Black prayer that I found. And this prayer is from 2016, actually. I'm going to, from Mona Smith. I want to read this, but I want you guys to talk back with me because we're going to have this conversation all month. And I may bring, I normally don't have guys on here without their wives, but I may bring my son on here with his wife and just to kind of go through that experience that day and have him to share some things that he's doing in order to combat the injustice, some of the things that is on his heart. And I really do want to interview at least 2 Black mothers. So if you're on here tonight and you are a Black mother, I want to interview you on this platform. So Kay Elizabeth, if you're interested, Sarah Tuck, I see you here. Hey, Auntie, because this is so real, you guys. This cannot be any more real. Any more real. Every day we go out to the store. Every day they wake up and go out. We don't know what's going to happen when they go out there, and they can be the best boys. My son went to college. He went to Erskine. He went to Coastal, and then he left and pursued his entrepreneur journey. He's a pretty respectable young man. He's an upstanding guy. He's a pretty good guy. But even in all of that, he's married. Even in all of that, you can do everything right. But still, as moms, we can do everything right, but still have to fear for their lives. I look at the 2 teenage children, not 2 teenage, not children, but the 2 teenagers that were just roughed up by the police because they broke curfew, or so they said. But the thing about that is they were probably driving home. At that moment, they were in the car. You guys saw that? They were in the car. And those kids come from good families. They were upstanding children. But because they were out of curfew, so they say, they flattened their tires, pulled the girl out the car. He went numb. He just clammed up. He didn't know how to respond to that. So here your kids are in college and there's a curfew. They're out protesting about, against injustice, and they are exercising their First Amendment right. And here they are being pulled out of the car, tased and maced down because they broke curfew. So how does a mother even respond to that? You know, they call us angry black moms and all this angry black woman and all that. No, it's not that. It's that we are upset. We are mad. We are outraged at the level of inequality and the level of injustice that's going on. And there's something that needs to be done. Period. Dot. Something that needs to be done. And we have to be in the front line doing it. Something my son says is that you can't knock on the outside. You have to go in on the inside. So how do we go in on the inside? What do we need to do? You know, we get so caught up about the differences. You know, I may not agree with everything you do. I may not agree with how you do it. But what is the end goal? What is our end goal as a people? Is our end goal fighting injustice? Is our end goal protecting our black boys? Is our end goal protecting our black men? And I'm going to talk about that a little bit next week. Our husbands who are out there. What is our goal? Beyond prayer. I know we all are prayer warriors. Most of us pray and we fast. But beyond that, what is the goal? What is the goal? So listen, I'm going to go ahead and read this prayer for our black sons. And if you have any questions, you can definitely post them. If not, you can always share the questions later. And we'll go from there. So a black mother's prayer. This is by Mona Smith. Lord, protect my son. Lord, keep him from danger seen and unseen. Help him to know the difference between right and wrong. Lord, protect him from the forces that will misjudge him and steal his life for no reason at all, just because he is black. Lord, give him supernatural discernment that he will know the difference between the good and bad. Protect his mind so that he does not misjudge and think they are all alike. Oh my God. Lord, let the angels encamp around him so that hurt, harm, and danger doesn't take him away from me prematurely. Protect his heart so he will not grow bitter, cold toward others. Lord, my heart grows heavy with fear and anxiety. Give me the strength to combat this fear with faith, knowing that you are God and that there is no weapon formed against me or my son that will prosper because you have overcome it all. Thank you for protecting my son in Jesus' name. Amen. And again, that is by Mona Lisa. I am going to put that here. Let me see. I know it's long, but hey. Not Mona Lisa, Mona Smith. Mona Smith. So you guys, it's been great. This has been a productive conversation. I know it's a hard conversation, but it's a conversation that we must have. It's a conversation that we must have next week. I'm looking forward to having a guest next week and the week after. So again, if you are interested in becoming a guest, please email me at info@wive2win.com, info@wive2win.com, and let me know, hey, I have a black son and I want to be a guest. Okay? Be a guest on the show. I'm looking for 2 guests, 2 moms next week and the week after to be a part of this conversation. And we're going to talk about coping strategies and things of that nature. But I want to hear from you all. I want to hear from you. I want to hear your fears. I want to hear your worries. I want to hear your concerns. And I want us together to go through a strategy, come up with a plan, come up with a solution on how we can protect our sons, how we can protect our men. I'm not talking so much physical protection, but what can we do as wives and as mothers, as wives who win, as mothers who win, to be able to combat racism, injustice in the world today. This is your girl, Terrell Ravenel, life and marriage transformation scientist, wife success coach, helping wives to manage their emotions so that they can constructively de-escalate conflict. Hey, I know that you, as much as I want to have a Christ-centered marriage. So this is the place where you can learn, you can evolve, and you can grow as a wife who wins. I'll see you guys next week, 8 o'clock. All right. Have a good one. Signing off. Bye.